Hello and welcome to this short tutorial about torpedo bombing. This wonderful screenshot of little swordfish flying over Dover. That's not what we're here to see. This is a quick little tutorial on how to effectively torpedo bomb in not only PvE, so like normal air battles, but also in PvP in naval combat. So the same general rules apply, as you can see from this little graph, and I will demonstrate once I'm done. I'm specifically taking the swordfish because despite its merits and despite it being the plane that basically sunk the Bismarck, it's not a terrific torpedo bomber in the game. So, first step, as you can see, you must decide if the target is worth attacking. Generally, the bigger the boat, the easier it will be to hit with your torpedo. You also need to decide the attitude of which you're going to attack it right now, which is from what angle you're going to shoot, from behind, front, the side, etc. Generally, the best thing to do is to come at the boat from not exactly the front, but say 75 degrees, 45 degrees off center. It makes it harder for them to dodge. So once you've acquired your target, pass to phase 2, where you begin to descend rapidly, because they are going to be shooting at you, PvE and PvP. Especially in PvP, because those boats have more guns than the ones you see on a normal map. So then you begin your descent and you start lining up with your target. This is when you're supposed to do it. You can do it later, but that's not the best. You could cause a lot of issues for yourself. So once you've lined up, you go to phase 3, which is to fly as close to the water as possible to get as close as you can to the boat before dropping, because later you drop, higher chance of you actually hitting the target. You should fly also close to the water to avoid the angle of attack of the AA guns. As this graph shows, this is not 100% because some AA guns have a lower traverse, but in general, 80 degrees is what any AA gun on a big ship, for example, can hit. So if you're below that, you're probably only going to get the small caliber shells coming your way, which is preferable, especially if you have a very weak airplane. As I mentioned, in naval combat, the boats have a lot more AA, so it can be a bit more terrifying. But even the ones in air realistic, for example, they can also destroy you. It's just they have less guns. Probably for the players that you don't lose your entire team just because you had the misfortune of flying over a battleship. Once you're there, there's an important thing you need to check, which is the speed at which you can drop your torpedo. Now with the swordfish it's fine because the British torpedo can be dropped at 150 knots and the swordfish cannot really go faster than 130 knots. But other planes, especially in the Japanese tree, which have torpedoes that can drop at 200, 250 knots, they fly a lot faster, and so you're going to have to do braking maneuvers and all that to avoid drowning your torpedo. Once you've dropped, of course, this is why I haven't drawn a line, there are two ways you should disengage, or can, that are the most successful. The first is just to keep flying straight. Just fly over your target and hope the AA doesn't kill you on the way. This can work if you drop really close, because then by the time you're just above the ship or just past it, the torpedo would have already hit and killed the ship, preventing further AA fire. But it's still a risk. Another one that's also a risk, and I say is actually more of a risk, is to turn around. Because if you turn around, you suddenly become, from the point of view of the crew on the ship, a stationary target. So you're suddenly so much easier to shoot. So personally, I normally fly over, but you can turn around if you land perfectly on and it's already dead by the time you started turning around. So let's switch to the game. So I've got us pause here over wonderful England. So our target is that moving aircraft carrier over there. It's a nice big target, easy to hit. Again, beautiful scenery. Let's just get the information back online. So here we're beginning our descent. We're going to aim ahead of the ship, because like I said, it's moving. So you don't want to have your torpedo miss. That warning that you just saw, that is a little interesting thing because as you can imagine, this is an early propeller plane. They cannot spin at a certain speed, and if you're moving through the air faster than the propeller can spin, the propeller is no longer giving you speed, which is why propeller planes don't usually have the ability to hit Mach 1. So here we are. Here's our approach. This is a good approach. We're probably going to be able to hit it. It's always good to keep leading. We're definitely less than a kilometer by now, but see, we're watching our speed at 100 knots. So now, close enough, close enough. We can drop. Torpedoes away. We can look back as it goes in, and bang. So yes, we just did some friendly fire. But see, this is an easy way to do it. As you can see, it was important to stay really low to the ground. Of course, these ones aren't firing back. At some point I might make a video. But if you can see here, if I come for another pass, you see those little slots on the aircraft carrier? That's where your AA guns would be. So here they would have a lot less chance of hitting me. Except of course if I hit the ship myself with my rear wheel. Oh, we don't need that anyway. Yeah, I hope this helps. This is, like I said, a very general way to do it. You can of course take more aggressive attitudes when attacking the ships. Generally, more aggressive is better. It will reduce your chance of being hit. Another thing you can of course do is you see your target and you see a little island before it, so then you just dip down, say like right down close to the water. You're just barely 100 feet close to the water. AA guns will be zipping over you, but then there's an island blocking the shots, and then you just leap the island, level out again, drop your torpedo, and just break off. Most of the time in these kind of fights, in naval battles, it's generally trading a kill a lot of times with the airplanes. You drop your torpedo, your bomb, you kill your adversary, but then you also are killed. It's not the best, of course, but it's a thing you can do. It's what happens most of the time, I feel, especially when I play. But you know, yeah, I hope this was helpful for you, and enjoy your flight.